presentation mode. Okay, so I hope you can still see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So this presentation is to introduce very quickly what is, let's say, the physical part of this mobile makerspace for the project. So what is it that we are, let's say, working with? And this is what I will answer in this presentation that we have discussed with Arthur based on the list of components prepared. So in essence, the STEAM2GO mobile makerspace is a portable toolbox, and the purpose of it, as already introduced by René and in the project, is to enable everyone, kids, but also older kids, to make, create, and have fun while learning. So at the end of the day, we came up to this, let's say, type of mobile makerspace, which is, it's essentially a typical toolbox with the wheels, and the point of it is being able to move around easily, to be able to put it in your car or take on a bus or on a train, and be as modular as possible with many compartments in order to keep there the different parts that you want to carry with you in order to actually, let's say, make any space a makerspace. That's the purpose of it. So what's in the box? There are different kind of parts and bits and pieces inside it, and we would put them in general in 4 categories. So the first category is about controllers and programming. So these are the boards we all know, Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, microbits, and all of this. These are the, let's say, the central brains of an electronic, let's say, programmable device. Not everything will be programmable, of course. There may be different types of things you can make, but for the ones that we need, let's say we plan to have something intelligent, we will base it either on Arduino or at the Raspberry Pi. And this will be also explained technically in the next presentations, what is the difference between the two when we use the one or the other. So this is the first category. The second category, which is linked to the first one, is electronics and soldering equipment. So here is one of the, let's say, very essential maker skills and a very good learning exercise that how do we make prototype electronics. So if we start from an Arduino, for example, it's very, let's say, I would say easy with, say, let's say, some reservations. It's let's say it's easier as it used to be in the past than the past to make an electronic circuit, for example, with different sensors and different outputs, as I will see in the next slide. So the skills to prototype on a breadboard or to actually make a printed circuit board, the PCB, and solder things on it. These are, let's say, among the joys and the skills that we want to bring to people through this mobile makerspace. The third category is general crafting and tools in general, that you can work with different materials. As it could be wood, it could be polystyrene or plastic or cardboard, anything that is available. It can be crafted and connected with the rest of the parts to create a new, to make something new. The last category is a more, let's say, I would say at the end of the day, all the previous are, let's say, the open tools you find in any makerspace. And then the plan is, once we get started and finalize some of the projects, the exemplary projects that we want to showcase to the community. Then we may have some project-specific kits that they will include, for example, different parts to make a specific project. And in the photo there, it's one of the services we can use from STEAM2GO. They can actually create your own branded kits. So we can have the STEAM2GO kit for project A or project ABC, coming packed and labeled. And this is something CYRIC can support in designing something that will look nice and custom. So these are the categories. I will briefly show some examples for each category. In the first category, we have controls and programming. As I mentioned earlier, these are for let's say for programmable or electronic, let's say, devices. These are the brains of the system. So as I said, it can be Arduino or Raspberry, but other options like microbit can also be supported. Most of the parts that we will include are generic, so they are not, let's say, tied to one platform or the other. So we see a set of sensors, for example, in the middle of the figure. That is, I think you can see my pointer. There are all sorts of sensors which more or less have the same, let's say, electrical interface. They may be digital or analog, and this is some of the nice tools that we can introduce students to them. So we have, let's say, a number of sensors. So it's the input, which will go into a central processor or controller, like we see here, for example, in the center. This is one ground beginning kit that we can take off the shelf, which in the middle has an Arduino Uno. So this is the brain of the system. It will take the inputs, process them, and then create some outputs. So for outputs, we have different type of actuators, as we call them. So it can be a motor. It could be an LED screen, an LCD screen, or a fan, or anything that can actually, let's say, give us an output to the environment. So all of this, they come together with a language. The same way we communicate, we have, again, two options, like programming language to communicate with the system. So we have also visual, block-based, as we will see, and also we have introduction to Python, which is a more structured object-oriented language compared to the more visual and block-based like Blockly and other type of languages. And lastly, in this part, we have the power supply, so it can be renewable or battery operated, depending on what the, let's say, the unit will be. In the next category, we have the electronics and soldering parts. So we have, let's say, the easy way to prototype with breadboards, like the ones we see here, and these jumper wires. We just connect this to the Arduino, for example, then put them here with, and then we have a different type of electronics we can use, like resistors, LEDs, or this type of traffic light off-the-shelf, let's say, components to put together and quickly prototype. And for this, you may have like a sortering station like this, or maybe just a simple sortering iron, depending on what you want to do. And one addition we added lastly, we also have electric paint, so you can actually draw your circuits on a cardboard. Then instead of soldering, you can just use this paint and put them together and have them like a picture of a circuit that actually works. In the last category, we have the crafting tools and materials. Again, here there are, let's say, endless possibilities to make anything we can imagine. So we have this, as I said, it's a sorting iron, but it's also a pyrograph, so you can actually, let's say, create drawings on wood, or we have devices like drummers to to cut or grind and soften things, cutters, glue guns. And again, it depends on the imagination and the project. You can have plywood or cardboard or anything that could be added. Ideally, we would like to have a 3D printer in this mobile makerspace, but it's due to cost and space may not be feasible, but we are adding a 3D pen at least, so that let's say we can create some small artifacts or maybe use them to give a different touch to an artifact or something we will make in the end. So the last slide, to put everything together, it's just a matter of imagination what the projects will be. So as I mentioned, and I think it was mentioned already, there will be example projects, but in the end, it will be up to each individual maker to come up with new ideas. And it could be something along these lines, either something to water your plants or home automation, or even a small robot. So that's more or less what I wanted to introduce about what is actually the makerspace, and just to have a common, let's say, understanding of what are the tools we have now and how, and then it's up to the educational, let's say, aspects of our team and the project to come up with nice projects and put these tools into good use to learn and make interesting stuff. So that's all from